I raced home from school excited about tonight's event. Grandfather was going to tell one of his stories. This was usual for Friday in the village, but tonight I'm going to listen to them differently. Because Miss Smith taught us about didactic literature today in class. She told us that didactic literature is written to teach a lesson, a lot like Grandfather's stories. Miss Smith told us there are lots of different forms of these writings. Some were called parables, stories about people, and some were fables. Fables have animals acting like humans in them. She said all of them were a form of allegory, stories written with a meaning, so we would have to find the lessons as we read them. I can't wait to hear which story Grandfather tells. As the sun sets over the mountains, the village gathers around the huge campfire. Grandfather sits in his chair and listens as the drums and voices fill the air. I can't wait, it's almost time. The drums fade into the background and Grandfather begins. Long ago, when the world was new, the Creator made a man and a woman. The two of them were made at the same time so that neither would be lonesome. They married, and for a long time they lived together and were happy. Then one afternoon the man came home from hunting and found that the woman had not yet begun to prepare their meal. Instead, she was out picking flowers. The man grew angry. "I am hungry," he said in a cold voice. "Do you expect me to eat flowers?" Now the wife too became angry. She had picked those flowers to share their beauty with her husband. "Your words hurt me," she said. "I will live with you no longer." She turned to the west and began to walk toward the sun. Her husband followed, but her steps were too quick. He could not catch her. He called her name, but she could not hear him. He went as fast as he could go, but his wife was much faster. The sun watched as the husband followed her. The sun saw how sorry the man was and took pity on him. "Are you still angry with your wife?" asked the sun. "No," said the man. "I was foolish to speak angry words, but I cannot catch her to tell her I'm sorry." "Then I will help you," said the sun. The sun shone its light down on earth in front of the woman. Where its light shone, raspberries grew up. The berries were ripe and looked good to eat, but the woman paid no attention to them and continued walking. The sun tried again. It showed down and blueberries grew. They glistened brightly in the sunlight, but the woman paid no attention to them. She only walked on toward the west, leaving her husband farther behind. Now the sun tried a third time. Where its beams touched the earth, blackberries grew up. They were dark and plump, but the woman's anger was too great, and she did not see them. At last, the sun tried its hardest. It shone its light down in the grass right in front of the woman's feet, and strawberries appeared. They glowed like fire in the grass, and the woman had to stop when she saw them in front of her. She knelt down and plucked one and bit into it. She had never tasted anything like it before. Its sweetness reminded her of how happy she and her husband had been together before they quarreled. "I must gather some of this fruit for my husband," she said, and she began to pick the berries. She was still picking them when the man caught up to her. "Forgive me for my hard words," he said to her, and she answered him by sharing the sweetness of the strawberries. So it was that strawberries came into the world. To this day, when the Cherokee people eat strawberries, they are reminded to always be kind to each other, to remember that friendship and respect are as sweet as the taste of ripe red berries. Wow, what a good parable, don't you think? Did you catch the lesson? That's called the moral. It's getting late, and everyone is heading home. I guess I should too. As Little Bear falls into his bed and drifts off to sleep, he remembers the fable Miss Smith read in class. A fox was jealous of his neighbor the stork for her elegance and grace. He longed to find a way to make her look foolish, and at last he had an idea. "My dear friend," he said, hiding his cunning with gracious manners, "would you be so kind as to join me for dinner?" "Why, I'd love to," replied the stork. But when the stork arrived at the fox's house, all he served her was a thin broth in a shallow bowl. The hungry stork could only wet the tip of her long bill, while the fox lapped up his dinner eagerly. But the stork didn't complain, for she was hatching a plan of her own. "What a delicious dinner," she said politely. "You must dine with me tomorrow, good neighbor." When the fox arrived at the stork's house the next day, he smelled of delicious fish soup. He licked his lips eagerly, but when he got to the table, the soup was served in a tall glass jar with a narrow neck. With her long bill, the stork drank her soup easily, but the fox could only lick a few drops from around the neck of the jar. "What is this?" he growled. "I can't eat this, and you know it." "My dear friend," replied the stork calmly, "I'm sure you will enjoy this dinner just as much as I enjoyed the one you served to me." The moral: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.